afternoon. My name is Barbara Moody, and I'm here today to present WRAP. So with WRAP, I just want to let you know that that is an acronym for Wellness Recovery Action Plan. That will help you identify some of the goals that you need in your life to keep you well and stay well for long periods of time. So what we're going to talk today about are specifically the 5 recovery key concepts of WRAP. That's going to include hope, personal responsibility, education, self-advocacy, and support. So first of all, I want to talk a little bit about hope. Hope is the fact that you can believe you can get well and stay well for long periods of time. What does that look like? You know, we all have our own belief in hope. So just for me, my hope would be that I wake up in the morning and that I'm able to smile and get through the day and not be upset with other people or that they're upset with me. And what your concept of hope is your own personal concept. And we love that because we know that you're the expert for your own self. So we want you to design, your own idea of what hope looks like for you. Personal responsibility. When we look at personal responsibility, we're saying that knowing that you are the expert on your own self, you know what your needs are, and it's up to you to take control of what you want in your life. That's a lot, right? That's a lot being said. So when we break it down just a little bit, to know, first of all, as I said before, that you're the expert on yourself. You are going to know what you need in your life, what you want in your life. That helps build that self-confidence. Know what your needs are. Your needs are, sometimes I know for myself, my needs would be very different than yours. So my needs for me are for me to wake up in my own bed every morning and after a restful night of sleep, and then to be able to go outside and look at my trees blowing in the wind. So that's what I need every morning when I wake up. It's up to me to take control of that, just like it's up to you to take control of you. So, and what you want, you're the only one that can design that philosophy for yourself. So, for me, to take control, that was very scary for me to think about. We all look at taking control of our lives very differently. What's it going to take for you to get control of your life? For me, what it took for me was to realize that I had the confidence to go through life, A, and B, to realize that there are things that I need in my life that I'm able to get on my own or from other people, and then I reach out and ask them for help. So that's for personal responsibility. When I look at education, learning all you can about yourself so that you can make wise decisions for yourself. I think that plays a crucial role in our lives. Learning about myself, well, of course, I'm all I think about, so I just wanted to add that in there. Education is so crucial because that helps me become very, very knowledgeable of what I need. And like we talked about earlier, getting well and learning how to stay well for long periods of time, education is a big component of that, because the more that we learn about ourselves, the more we're able to exude the confidence. And then we can put those boundaries into place where people realize that we are confident and that we're going to stand firm on what our needs are. Self-advocacy. Boy, let me tell you, what it says here is going for it with courage, persistence, and determination. And I have to believe in that. I have to believe that I can go for whatever I want to in life. And that's what I want to instill in everybody that I present WRAP with, is that they are their own expert and that they can just go for this. They can go for life with the courage, persistence, and determination. expressing ourselves clearly and calmly until we get what we need for ourselves. So I know that for a very long time, I wasn't really able to stand up for myself and speak about what I needed for myself. I felt very low self-esteem, and now I'm very able to stand up and say what I need, and I say so clearly and distinctively. And I can only hope that those that I help present in the future would be able to attain those qualities for their own personal selves. So self-advocacy is key. Support. Wow, support was huge for me, because when I first started this process, I have had a tremendous amount of support in my life. When I present RAP into large presentations, I also am a huge advocate for supporters in our lives. I just want to tell you now that there's 5 steps of developing a strong support system. But I just want to share a little bit of story about my tenant that rents my home. My tenant has a mental health disorder of severe anxiety, and he has a co-occurring disorder, which is substance use. And I spoke to him on Friday before Mother's Day. His mother had passed away not long ago, and he was hospitalized directly after that hospitalization with his mom when his mom passed away, because he wasn't capable of dealing with his own mental health disorders. So he didn't have any support at that time. He had no friends. His mother was passed away, and she was his largest supporter. So without her, his life was in shambles, and he was Baker acted, and he was put away. They gave him these medications that he didn't want to take. He had never had them before, so he was in a lot of fear. That was 4 years ago. Now, this year in 2016, I spoke to him on that Friday prior to his mother's passing, and on Mother's Day, and he actually said to me that he was doing well and that he would call me the following morning. Well, the following morning he didn't call me, so of course I'm on the phone by 9 a.m. Hey, what's going on? How you doing? It went straight to voicemail. So Saturday afternoon I called him up and I said, hey, what's going on? Left another voicemail. Saturday afternoon I drove down to the house, and it was locked and he wasn't there, so I got very concerned. His work called me on Monday and said, he's not at work. Do you have any idea how he is doing? And I said, no, I don't, but I did speak to him on Friday. So by Monday afternoon, I contacted his brother, and his brother told me that he had Baker acted himself midnight on Friday night, and he didn't have a RAP plan. So I was his landlord, so I took the key down to the house, cleaned out his refrigerator, and created a RAP plan for myself for this situation. And I knew that I had to stay well in order to keep him well. So what I did was I went down, I cleaned his refrigerator out, I brought in all of his newspapers, I started calling around to the different hospitals to see where he was. And due to HIPAA law, they weren't going to tell me, so I just stayed and waited for him to contact me. He did contact me a week into his recovery process, and I stated to him, when you are released, I want to introduce you to RAP. So I had mentioned it to him before, and he kind of just glossed it over and said, oh, it'll be okay. And I said, well, if you just download it on your phone, you know, you can create it. So now he's released. I did pick him up. He had medications that he wanted, because as I explained to him while he was there, that this is a process. He's the expert. He knows what worked for him in the past and what hasn't. And so he was able to speak loud and say to the people taking care of him, that these are the medications that I want, and these are the treatment plans that I need to be in place when I leave out of here. So I picked him up and he had the medications that he needed. We went to the pharmacy, got his medications, and we went grocery shopping, and I took him home, and he was quite pleased that I had taken the action to come down and clear out the refrigerator because he was in the facility for 27 days. So that would have looked horrible. The newspapers would have piled up and the mail would have piled up. So I was going down taking care of those matters for him. I was also paying his bills. So I was paying his phone bills and his light bills to keep the lights on and paying his rent while he was in there. So I was being a huge supportive component for him in his process. Now this just happened this past Mother's Day. So I was a cheerleader for RAP, and he was like, oh, I could do this myself. So now he has said, teach me how to do this. So I've been very ecstatic in helping him with his RAP. We have been doing this on the phone or on Skype so that he could develop his RAP, and he now has it on phone, and he has given it to his employer, his brother, and myself, and one other person that will help him through his life if this ever happens again. So that's my story with him, and I'm very, very proud of him for taking action to help himself get well and stay well. So as of today, this is Friday, July 1st, and we are spoke this morning, and he's scheduled a kayaking trip with some friends for tomorrow, which I find very grateful because he is not a social type of person. So I was very impressed that he told me about this. So I just want to also add in here these 5 steps in developing a strong support system. I can definitely identify with this as well. So the support group, if you go to a support group, a 12-step group, or some type of bereavement group, or whatever it is, self-help group that you get involved with, feel comfortable. You know, if you're not feeling comfortable and you feel out of sorts there, you know, give yourself a little bit of time to see if you feel comfortable. And if you don't feel comfortable there, we can go somewhere else and see if we feel more comfortable in that environment. Don't just stop at the first try. Give yourself a few tries. Build up that courage, you know. Build up your determination and go out there and do that. We need to know that there's confidentiality when it comes to groups. What we hear here stays here. That's a very big component with self-help groups, because what we share in meetings, we don't want people out into the community or our work environment or some of our family members to be aware of what we might be feeling or experiencing. There's some people that might use that against us. There's some people that might, you know, go overboard if they hear something. So we love it when the self-help groups are, you know, confidential. Also, knowing that these groups, there are people that are involved, that they're not judging. They're not being judgmental, they're not criticizing you for what you're doing. Just remember, you're always your own expert. Even if somebody else is doing these, saying things or, you know, being ugly, you can go back and say, you know what, I am my own person. And I do know that that's not how I am, and they're wrong. So they have a misconception of who we are. And they're crying out for help. If we remember that when people are judging and criticizing, they're crying out for help. And maybe it's up to us, now that we're well, to go and support them through the times that they need us. Get involved. Go out to the community and see what kind of community groups you can get involved with. Volunteer opportunities. There's always volunteer opportunities, peer mentor groups that are available. There's so much that we can get involved in and give back to others while it helps us at the same time. Get to know other people. When you go to the groups, it may feel a little awkward at first. It's okay, you know, jump on in there, be determined, be courageous, jump on in there. When you meet these people, get some phone numbers. call them, talk to them, get involved with them, let them know a little bit about what's going on in your life. Again, we talked about volunteer. You know, I love volunteers when they come and help me because they get to learn so much about what the process is. And they can look back into their own lives and go, you know what, here's what I experienced, and now I'm able to share this experience with other people. And that is just nothing but a feel-good syndrome. So support people are priority. I know the Copeland Center says we should have at least 5 good concrete support persons in our lives. I agree with that wholeheartedly because if I had only 2 support people, you know, I wouldn't be up here trying to get my advanced level RAP facilitator certification. I would probably still be sitting at my desk and not presenting this at all. So supports are a priority. We need to have these supports in our life. And make a commitment to yourself. When I made a commitment to myself to be the best that I could be and realize that I was the expert on myself, and I was able to instill the hope in others, I can see all of these 5 key concepts working in my life, and hope, personal responsibility, education, self-advocacy, and support has been very crucial for me to be here to be able to give back to you. So on that note, I thank you so very much, and I'm looking forward to coming and presenting RAP across the state of Florida. Thank you.